Welcome inside the Kyle Quarter video blog. The USD women pick up a 82-78 win here at the DakotaDome on Saturday afternoon against arch rival South Dakota State. And joining us now to talk a little bit more about that is the voice of USD women's basketball, John Thayer. And John, really in the first half, SDSU, which came into this game without their leading scorer, Megan Wojtaszek, came out really kind of set the tone from a physical standpoint and really kind of got whatever they wanted done on the offensive end done.
Yeah, they did. There was a big turning point in that first half after South Dakota had a 5-point lead. Then State came back, and they had a 5-point lead, State did, and they got a 3-pointer and then a foul on USD away from the basket, led to 2 free throws. It was a 5-point swing, and pretty much State controlled the lead by 10 for most of that first half. And really, they did. They controlled the tempo. They were able to do a lot of things they wanted to do and didn't allow USD the offense that it wanted to do.
Yeah, and I mean, in the second half, USD comes in 37-34 down at the break, 9-2 run to start, and just like that, it's a brand new ball game. It really stayed competitive from that point forward. I'm not sure the lead on either side got bigger than 5.
No, it really didn't. I think maybe South Dakota had a 6-point lead, but it was back and forth the whole way, and you knew every time that one of them got the lead, the other one was going to come back into it at some point. And a couple minutes left in the game, I think it was a 6-point USD lead, and you knew it was far from over with 2 minutes to go, and it was back and forth, real fun.
Yeah, as far as women's basketball in general goes, this was a heck of a ball game. It was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of back and forth. The best players, as the game wore on for both sides, really started to step up and hit big buckets for their teams to keep things close throughout the end of this basketball game. One of them certainly was the freshman phenom, Macy Miller. She set her own career high in this game with 25 points, and she was awfully good, especially in the absence of Wojtaszek.
Yeah, I really thought she was going to break that career mark because she had 25 earlier this year against Northern Illinois, but was able to get 25 tonight. And she is really good at driving to the basket. That's kind of where she's going to get her points at. She drives to the basket, gets some contact, and she's very good at finishing some shots. So she was really good for them. They knew they needed her without Megan Wojtaszek tonight, and she stepped up.
And I thought Chloe Quarterman, normally doesn't see a ton of minutes for South Dakota State. She played a lot of minutes here tonight. And came up big for them, hit some big shots, and she's another one of those players that was a spark when they needed them.
Yeah, she got some big rebounds, and I think that's one of the area that maybe gets overlooked a little bit. She was able to position herself inside the USD big players on the inside and get those rebounds, and they were big for South Dakota State. Her and Rachel Walters both had to play big minutes without Megan Wojtaszek, and both came in and played well.
For USD, the story offensively, I don't think there's any question about this. It was Rachel Contreras. She leads the team in scoring, so that's not a big surprise. But of late, I mean, consistency has been the one thing. Amy Williams said it after the game. One of the things Rachel wanted to do coming into this season was become more consistent on the offensive end. You look at her last few games, there's no doubt she's done that. Sets a new career high, as you mentioned, 32 points here this afternoon.
Yeah, she was pretty consistent through part of the season. And then when USD kind of started struggling offensively, part of that was that Rachel wasn't getting her points and finding that consistency. But you saw a turning point at Western Illinois, and she played very well in that game. She had a good game against North Dakota State and now a new career high against South Dakota State. You're starting to see Rachel Contreras be one of those players that realizes as a senior she's a leader and has to step up and do some big things in key moments, and she did.
Thayer Miller is another player that stepped up and made some big plays in key moments tonight, and Thayer did not have her best day. For the first 30 minutes, I think she'd only taken like 2 shots all day and was quiet. She turned it over a couple of times, but then she kicked it into that Miller gear that only she seems to have. She hit a couple of big threes back-to-back. Down the stretch. She had another driving layup as well. She had a big offensive rebound. She had a couple of steals, disruptions on the defensive end. Rachel Contreras is going to get a lot of the headlines for that 32 points, but Thayer Miller is a big reason why the Coyotes were able to put this thing away.
Yeah, she's kind of that hidden player in this game that you look at the stats and you just glance over and say 9 points, but if you actually watch the game, you realize how those 9 points came. They were huge for Thayer Miller and huge for this team, and she's a really good player. She's a scrappy player, and she will fight for everything. She got herself in a little bit of foul trouble, so that kind of kept her out of the game a little bit here and there, but when they needed her the most, I mean, they found her open for 3, and she hit a couple of big ones.
Yeah, USD went through those offensive struggles over that 5 or so games after Christmas. Well, in the last 3, they haven't scored less than 82, so it's good to see the offense back on track for South Dakota. but it doesn't get any easier from here. Now you got to go back on the road and continue this momentum forward.
Yeah, and you go on the road to Fort Wayne and IUPUI, which other teams have found out that's a tough place to go play. I mean, it's not easy to win on the road in this league. South Dakota found that out at Oral Roberts. South Dakota State found that out at North Dakota State and at IUPUI. So it's going to be a tough thing to go through when you go on the road. But you just got to keep going. You got to stay within yourself. And I think these kids right now are feeling really confident that they're back to the way they were prior to the Christmas break. And if they keep that confidence, they have a real good chance to go on the road and try to find some wins.
Coyotes keep saying it, important to take care of business at home. And they did that here over the last 3 games with wins, last 2 games with wins over North Dakota State and today against South Dakota State. USD just keeps on rolling, 14-4 overall now on the season, 3-1. 4-1, excuse me. I left one out. 4-1 in the Summit League as they prepare to hit the road again for next week. So thanks so much, John. A good win again for South Dakota against South Dakota State. The top 2 teams in the preseason Summit League poll going at it here this afternoon, and the Coyotes get round 1. For John Thayer, I'm Jay Elsen. Thanks for watching.